according to Statista, we have seen a drastic change when it comes to the LGBTQIA plus community and how much they have grown over time. 7.2% of US adults identify as LGBT. 7.2%. We are told sometime to the tune of 2017 to 2020, something massive happened. Can anybody guess what happened between right around this time that changed this map? As you can see, the Gen Z is the red group here. Their identity with the LGBTQ community has skyrocketed. 19-something% of the Gen Z generations are either identifying, claiming, or in support of the LGBTQIA plus community. You do have to ask a question. What happened around this time in history that has shifted everything? Can anybody take a guess? What happened somewhere between 2014, 2017 that changes this graph in 2020? Okay, COVID-19 happened in 2019, a little bit different, but that did play a role. So that's a good point. That's a good point. It did play a role. But sometime between 2014 and 2017, something huge happened. I'm going to see if I can get some of you to respond to that. I got to text somebody quick. So let me know. Somebody says Roe v. Wade happened. That's also good. That's also good. But let me give you the history of what actually happened. Yes. Somebody say isolation's happening. You guys are thinking a little bit deeper. You're thinking way too deep. I'm so much basic than that. I'm so much more basic than that. Here's the thing. What happened is this. So Obergefell, I had to struggle saying this. I'm so serious. I struggled probably like for a day or two. Some people say Obergefell, but I call it Obergefell. Obergefell in Hodges happened. Okay? Obergefell in Hodges happened. So this was the declaration in 2015 that changes everything. You will say, how much of a role did this have? This was the story. This was the story that changes the landscape of our world today. This is when same-sex marriage became legal. Okay? Under the 14th Amendment of the United States, all states must license a marriage between two people of the same sex and recognize such marriage if it was lawfully licensed and performed in another state. This was a huge declaration. First time in the history of the United States. This was massive. People don't think this is, the church is not paying attention. Like, you don't realize what happened here. So after that happened, so this is where, when you look at the map now, and all of your answers are correct. I think some of what you've said played a role, and Lori hit it. That's right. Gay marriage. The gay marriage law that happened, Obergefell, and also Hodges, that happened in 2015. I think it was the month of July 4th, 2015. We are told right in the year of 2015 here, right after that, we begin to see, it says about 800,000. Let me pull it up. I think I had it in my document here. I didn't put it on the screen. But a study has shown there was to the tune of 800,000 families that got married, and 500,000 of them got married after this. So 300,000 prior to that. So out of 800,000 homosexuals who got married, 500,000 of them got their license and got married after this. So this was a serious shift, but with that shift came some serious issues. Thank you, Laurie, for the super chat. We appreciate you. One of the first issues we begin to see stuff like this. Drag Queen Story Hours. You guys remember this? You guys remember this? Yeah. Those days were beginning to cause people to say, what is happening here? We had drag queens in the church. You can watch these videos online. I'm not going to play them. Sabbath is coming. I got to keep your mind pure. I got to help to keep your mind pure. I can't keep your mind pure. But I'm not going to put stuff in front of your eyes that's going to disturb you. Right? So drag queens were preaching in churches, in some churches, especially the Methodist churches or United Methodist United Church. And we also had Desmond is Amazing. He was a drag queen little boy on Good Morning America. And he was doing the split, dancing for the rest of the world. Everybody was clapping. What is going on? And also had now the surgeries begin to happen. Well, now they were happening before that. Keep in mind. But it began to happen in such a way that it was so disturbing. The double incision and double this mastectomy and all of that. And I'm just showing you the top surgeries. We're not even talking about the bottom surgeries. And a lot of businesses and monies and institutions and medical institutions begin to make a whole lot of money on this. Okay, some institutions were exposed for this, and they were found that they literally opened their doors just to do this to children and many people who are confused sexually. But it also began to come into the church. We had the gay ministers in the church. They were either practicing or supporting this practice. And the community wasn't happy. The LGBT community wasn't happy with just that. They wanted the church to do this. And this is their graph. Some churches are anti-gay. Some churches are welcoming. You can come in and sit down and listen. Some churches are accepting. Come stay, but you must be celibate and never fall in love and have a relationship. I'll be honest with you. This is where most of our churches are. They're more in the accepting phase. This is not a bad phase to be. But many of them are shifting over here. Some are here. You don't want to be a church that just condemns all gay individuals. Like you saw the guy in the first video, right? We don't want to be that guy. But you don't want to be that church either. This is called affirming churches. You and your partner are welcome here and be a part of our community. What gifts do you bring to serve God and our church? Keep in mind, not all LGBT person thinks the same way. So even though I'm talking about this, I'm keeping in mind there are different ways that they approach these things. So this is not a one size fits all. And this is not to be a condemnation either, because there are some people, they are just struggling, but they need help. They need prayer. They need love. But there are some who are saying, listen, bro, you need to affirm, you need to validate, and you need to celebrate. That's right. And we begin to see what happened with the United Methodist Church. Boy, I even had a United Methodist pastor that I spoke to on my channel. And I think they have what is called the Global Methodist Church. I think the Global Methodist Church, they separated because the United Methodist Church lifted up the ban on homosexuality. I spoke about this on my channel. I dig into all of this. United Methodist Church lift bans on LGBTQ clergy, and they did it in a general conference in session. This was massive. And the Global Methodist Church separated from them. So there was a serious split. And woman ordination began to take place. It began to drive that movement. That the Methodist Church today, for those of you who don't know, the Seventh-day Adventist Church has a close connection with Methodist. We are more Methodist in our thinking than we are of Presbyterians or Calvinists. The reason that is because Ellen White was a Methodist. Some of the pioneers were the Methodists. They were also part of the Christian Connectionist movement. There were also some other deists that became part of the early Adventist movement, the early Advent movement. But the Methodist Church was one of the church that was more closely related to Adventist. So a large group of the people who now are Adventists came out of Methodism. So anyway, it was massive because the Methodists were known. They were known for John Wesley, Charles Wesley. These men were known for lifting up the standard of the Lord. That's what the whole idea behind Methodist is about. They were upholding biblical standards. They were known for lifting up the law of God. They were calling for holiness. They were known for that. To have to watch the Methodist church fall apart was like, whoa, what happened? And if you know anything about the history of the Reformation, this was a massive move, friends. And we say, if the Methodist church could fall into this mess and no longer lift up the standard of righteousness and holiness, whew, we better watch it. And these churches, and they begin to affirm the gay agenda, looking for LGBTQ affirming church in Salt Lake City. It becomes a thing. So churches begin to become affirming churches. I don't think we have too many of that, but there are some of them in California. Not too many, but there are some. They become LGBTQIA plus affirming churches. So you come there, you are affirmed. You are treated with extra gloves. Opening and affirming United Church of Christ. So what you begin to see also in the political circle, things begin to get really strange. We started seeing books. And these books are still available today, even in my home library. I went to my library recently and with my kids, and we were just like looking for other books and stuff like that. And there was a session in the library, like back in, kind of like, like I would say 11 o'clock. So when we looked at that and I went there, it's almost like they had like 4 different rows of books like this. And when you open some of these books, friends, listen. You may think Pastor James is tripping. You may think I'm some crazy bigots who just don't love people. Like, friends, let me tell you something. That's not the case at all. And I'm not saying I'm just this sinless man who never done wrong. I'm not saying that. But I'm telling you, man, when I saw what was in these books, like, I can't really explain it. It's the most disturbing things I've ever seen with my eyes. It's the most disturbing things I've ever seen with my eyes. And I would never encourage anybody, even an adult. I will not encourage an adult to read these books. Okay, that's why a lot of political left begin to get mad, because the political right of things begin to raise questions. I remember this pastor. I've watched him several times. I can actually find a video of him. I'm gonna pull the video here. Give me 1 second. I'm pretty quick at this. This is Pastor John Amanchukwu. Pastor John Amanchukwu. This, are you guys familiar with this guy? You should know who he is. I'm gonna show you, because you might think Pastor James is tripping, or I'm saying something that's not you. Keep in mind, and this is not in any way to get kinky or dirty. Please don't misunderstand me. Keep in mind, this is what was happening in some of these books, right? I didn't want to tell you what was in the books. He's going to read part of the books to you. You will see what I mean. And it began to make sense to me that there was something else going on here. This had nothing to do with, marriage anymore. Something else was happening. Listen.
I want to define something for you tonight. Definition for pervert. It means to lead someone away from what is considered right, natural, or acceptable. This book has been permitted in 6 schools in the Wake County public school system. This book explicitly details anal sex, blowjob tips, a response to a letter about gay sex, and BDSM. I'll read just a little bit of this perversion. So he bends me over the bed and drizzles some lube on my ass. I made him wear a condom, of course, and he starts pushing it in. Use your lungs to suck, not your lips to pull. You're not trying to yank the DICK off with your mouth. You're trying to make it feel good. Use your tongue. Doesn't it make you cringe? You don't like it. You don't want to hear it aloud. You don't want anyone to read it. The question today is, who is the pervert that's allowing this to be purchased and delivered to our libraries? Come out from wherever you are. Who are you? You don't have to answer that question. We know who the perverts are. There's one political party in this country that supports this junk. It's the Democrat Party. You all have signed off on this, and it needs to be removed from every school.
Your time is up, sir. Our next speaker.
So, it's just so you know, I'm not tripping. I saw these books in my library, and these were in schools, and parents began to speak against it. You just heard what the man said. I'm not going to repeat that. You just heard what the man said. This was happening, and people begin to take notice. There is something weird going on here. But it wasn't that bad. I'm going to come back to this. We saw the Leah Thomas and the Riley Gaines controversy. The Riley Gaines controversy. Yes, that's a man. But she won. Because he is a man. They both got there at the same time. But because he's a supposedly transgender, he got the trophy. What? And that made serious noise. Like, what is going on? Uh-oh, we're not done. The Queen James version of the Bible happened. Yes. Like, what? Yeah. So you can understand why this graph is problematic. So after 2015, we began to see all of this. And we're not going to get into the details of it. So you saw the books. You saw how massive and drastic this was. And I wanted to mention this. A message from the gay community. Friends, I'm not going to play all of this. This is too bad. This is too disturbing to play. Somebody say, come out of her, my people. Amen. Amen. And we have a coming out of ministries here. I'm going to play their videos in a little bit. And they put out this message. And this is coming from the San Francisco Gay Men Choir. And they're talking to Christians when they put this out. I've addressed this on my channel before. And this is what they said.
As we celebrate Pride on the progress we've made over these past years, there's still work to be done. So to those of you out there who are still working against equal rights, we have a message for you.
You think we're sinful? You fight against our rights. You say we all lead lives you can't respect. But you're just frightened. You think that we'll corrupt your kids if our agenda goes unchecked. Funny, just this once, you're correct. We'll convert your children. Happens bit by bit, quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it.
So, what are we supposed to think as Christians when we hear messages like this? That's why I would like to ask that lady, like, lady, you know, I respect you and all, but you know what they're saying, right? Like, you think as Christians, we're supposed to just be like, oh, well, you know, nothing to see here. Like, really? Like, listen, man, when people tell you what they're going to do, you just have to believe them. They're telling you, we're going to convert your children. You know how they're going to do it? And they even tell you in the song, and I'm so agree. Shannon, you're so right. That song is cringe. And by the way, some of the members and the people that are containing the songs, many of them were caught laying with the little ones. They were caught. Many of them. So yeah, they were really doing this. They were practicing what they preach. So Christians are watching this. Christians are watching this. The world is watching. The world celebrate this. We watching this and say, wait a minute, you want to convert my children? And you tell me that that's your plan? That's your agenda? And you can't say, oh, he's tripping. He's just, this guy's out of his mind. Didn't you just see the map? How do you go from 2015 to the tune of like, what, 8% of individuals? We're talking about the millennials. And then the Gen Z generation shoots over to 15 in 2020. By the time we reach 2019, 2022, 19-something%. That has been going off ever since. So are you telling me the agenda is not working? Are you serious? So there was an indoctrination happening here as well that we have to pay attention to. Now, there's some genetics, there's some predisposition. I can agree with that. You know what I'm saying? The sinful flesh and trauma and all the different things. But there is an indoctrination. And I think most of what's happening to some of our children is indoctrination. He's still singing. We're not going to hear the whole thing. This is terrible to even listen to that.
Quietly and subtly, and you will barely notice it. You can keep him from disco, warn about San Francisco, make him wear pleated pants, we don't care. We'll convert your children, we'll make them tolerant and fair.
At first I didn't get why you'd be so scared of us turning your children into accepting, caring people, but I see now why you'd have a problem with that.
Just like you worried, they'll change their group of friends. You won't approve of where they go at night to protests. Oh, and you'll be disgusted
So gross.
when they start finding things online that you've kept far from their sight.
Did you hear it? So we're going to put stuff on the internet that they're going to find online that you're trying to keep your children away with. And that's how they're going to convert your children. And let me tell you something. That's exactly what happened. That's exactly what happened. They're not telling you something that you and I haven't already seen. Listen, the TikTok app, the reason why people wanted to shut it down was because the TikTok app alone was being used abusively by the gay community to convert the children. And a lot of the children who either become associated with the gay community, to the tune of 50% of them said they either heard it on the internet. It had nothing to do with lifestyle, no trauma, no abuse, none of that. It was not even it at all. They were watching on their app. Some individual was being celebrated in love and given approbation. They became famous. They magnified the LGBTQIA plus person and they put them on a map, and the children were attracted to it. And little by little, they felt approbated through the app alone. This happened. There are other apps as well that were mentioned in this. There are other different social media apps that I know X wasn't so much for this. I know TikTok was. They were promoting that to some of the kids. I had to have some conversation with my kids and my sons and let them know this stuff. We went ahead of time and explained to them what was going on, and we opened their eyes to it. But a lot of this was happening. It was on their phones they were being converted. Yes. So he's not lying. They are not lying.
They start finding things online that you've kept far from their sight.
Like information.
Guess what? You'll still be alright. We'll convert your children, yes we will.
Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it.
Cause even grandma likes RuPaul.
And the world's getting kinder.
Even grandma likes RuPaul. That's just, wow. 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 You don't know what RuPaul is? Well, go do your research. I'm not going to get into it. All right. But again, we have the adults supporting it to a degree. All right. The adults think this is good and that. And that's what they are banking on. You adults are not standing. So we're going to get the kids. Like, it's crazy. Like, this is madness. When you see children being forced into that lifestyle, we're talking about some kids who are taken away from their parents. We're talking about issues that dealt with individuals and where separated families were split. The mother wanted the boy to go one direction. The father didn't want to go along. He lost custody of his son, never got the kid back. By the time his son came back, he was completely twisted. Kids were fathers went to prison and came home, did not recognize their sons and their daughters. Like, this is crazy. This is madness. Like, you're going to tell me this is good for society?
Yes, we will.
Reaching one and all, there's really no escaping it.
Cause even grandma likes RuPaul.
And the world's getting kinder.
Gen Z's gayer than Grindr.
He's right. Gen Z is gayer than Grindr. And let's not get into the Grindr app. This is something that will even drive you crazy also. But and Shannon is correct, right? Yeah. Brian, you telling me? Listen, man, I totally understand. You know how many times I had to, I don't listen to this for the sake of, please, I'm doing this to really address it. That's why I'm pausing and commenting, because I'm actually going to listen to it, because there's still power in that song. Even though you may not agree with the message, music are very powerful tools. It bypasses the frontal lobe and it appeals to the limbic system, and it can sit in your conscience. I understand that. That's why I'm pausing and commenting. The thing is, it is a disturbing music. It is a disturbing song because of what it's meant to do. But the message in it is actually 100% true. Shannon confirmed that. When people tell you who they are, listen to them. Listen to them. So, you know, this is why I have to take an issue with my dear sister here. They're telling us who they are. All right, so let's stop this music, because what happened is the choir begins to sing. And what I said earlier, many individuals in these choirs were found guilty of taking advantage of the little ones. Many of them. All of these are men. No, you can pause right here. That's enough. So what are we supposed to think and to say? And again, it's good to keep in mind, not all homosexuals believe this is the way to go about it. Not all person who are same-sex attracted might agree with this message. That these are the facts, right? Most people will say, stay away from my children. If you only knew how bad things really are, right? Some people are proud to be part of that community. Yeah. These comment section give me notes. Satan sings. So most people take an issue with this comment. When you read it, people take an issue with this comment. People take an issue with it. Some people support it, of course. You're always going to get your supporters. Yeah. This is beautiful. Thank you all. You know, but the thing is like, really? They are really converting children. They are converting children to your lifestyle. Yeah. So, yeah. So you have all kind of reaction coming from this, but the truth is, people's eyes begin to be open. People's eyes begin to be open. They realize these individuals are not, they don't have our best interests at heart. They do have evil plans and agenda. But however, there's a positive side of the story. There is a positive side of the story that was aired by, there it is right there. It was from CBN News. So you can understand why, before I get into this story, you can understand why people now, they are trying to reverse the same-sex marriage thing. Yeah, Obergefell and Hodges, there is, and I spoke about this before, I did a video recently, they want to reverse it. The Republicans are going after it. Remember now, Roe v. Wade fell. So there's a possibility this could also happen. Cam Davis, the clerk from Kentucky, who went to prison for 6 days for not willing to sign a same-sex marriage license, got herself in serious trouble, ended up with a $100,000 fine, and not including court's expenses, were over $250,000. She filed a document recently, and I plan on making another video because I found the official document, and we're going to go through it. She's asking some solid questions. Even her lawyer is arguing on her favor as well. Now, she did try to do this before. It was rejected. I think it was rejected in 2022. She's doing it again, but with the Trump administration and a few more justices who are more conservative in their thinking, they might take her case. So if they take her case, brother, the gay marriage stuff could be overturned. And we have about 6 conservative justices. 3 of them are liberal in nature. The other 3 are conservatives in nature. And I think at least 5 of them are Catholics. So, my friend, you know what this means? This could mean war. Now, the thing is, also the other thing that could happen, nothing could happen. Let's just say they don't take it. We're not taking that course. We are not going to take this case, consider it. And we're not going to take it from the federal and send it to the local. That's also a possibility, right? That they can reject it again. But that doesn't necessarily mean her chances of getting it in is now. So there's a pushback coming from the right. And again, remember what happened with Roe v. Wade. People thought Roe v. Wade could not be overturned. They were wrong. It got overturned. It got overturned. And there goes this thing now, which could also happen again. So this gives you an idea I will say, I think this is good. I'm in support of this. I think it should be overturned. I'm not saying gay people cannot get into same-sex union. They can. That's been the case for years. That's never a problem. And I think if a state chooses to do that, people vote in their states and do that. That's their problem. That's their decision. But as far as the Supreme Court redefining biblical marriage, oh no, buddy, you better not. I never agreed with that one. Never agreed.